They were giving a veteran $2,000 a day fines in 1996. Roland Ellingston. $2,000 a day fines in this gentrified West 37th area. He had 2 houses over there that they built in the 50s. His wife had died, family gone. He'd had colon cancer surgery. He had 3-inch grass in his yard. The yuppies all wanted it. They came and tried to buy the houses out from him. The realtors wouldn't. So they had cops that started coming in and harassing him with code enforcers. They arrested him supposedly for waving his arms at him one day. He had more than $50,000 they claimed that he owed. I went and showed it. Good police were ashamed of it, called me and said, here's the city council woman's house in a nearby neighborhood with holes in the roof. She owns 2 houses there as well. And like 3-foot grass and ivy. I went and shot video of it. They had reversed the $50,000 in fines. They had apologized to him. And Jackie Goodman, who wasn't even a bad person overall, had come out and apologized. In 1 week, ladies and gentlemen, because the cops said, hey, go to this city council person's house. They got like literally 5-foot tall grass. And that's all because some yuppie with pull with the city wanted his houses. He's dead now. Lived a long time, though. Classic Alex Jones, City Health Department Hypocrisy, and Roland Ellingston. So that's the type of stuff that we need to be doing more of. But we need the tips. Show tips at Infowars.com. And we need to be able to have the reporters and the team, and that comes down to money. That's why I believe in win-win-win. We sell the most revolutionary, high-quality products at the very lowest prices we can, whether it's Made in America pro-gun shirts to meet like-minded people and spread the word, or whether it's high-quality X2 nascent iodine or super male vitality or super female vitality, or the oxy powder that totally flushes your guts out, whether it's the fluoride shield, the OcuPower, the silver bullet. That's how we fund the operation. I want to hire another group of reporters on top of what we got. Then we'll really be ready to go. More video editors, more investigative journalists, more writers. But we need the capital to get that job done. Infowarsstore.com. So get high-quality water filtration systems at the best prices out there. Clearly filtered, Pro 1, G2, all of it. See all the little documentary reports we have about the products. Infowarsstore.com or 888-253-3139. Denny in California, you're on the air.
Hi, Alex. I just wanted to point out in that video of Ray Rice, he actually spits on her face as she walks by, and that's why she pushes him. And to me, this is typical victim mentality. And I'm sick of seeing victim mentality.
No, I hear you. Listen, I've never hit a woman. So, I mean, and look, my whole thing is, they're making him, though, like he's the worst guy in the world. What about our government arming ISIS? That's all I'm saying. Why is this the top story in the United States instead of all these other serious issues?
Yep, I totally agree. And again, I think that it really boils down to the victim mentality. And, you know, ask anybody, they're a victim of this or that, and it's all bullcrap. We need to start getting our, as you would say, and get going and start getting... Well,
I agree with you. It's also sickening, you know, to hear his wife saying, we're victims now. Obviously, it's all about the money and everything. And they're just, I mean, look, I don't lose any sleep and cry about entitled professional football players, you know, not having extra $10 million to go gamble it away at the local casino. I'm just talking about the syndrome of the corrupt media that helps cover up for our government funding ISIS and our borders wide open and all the mass graves of little kids dead on the border, killed by the cartels. None of that's ever on the news. It's all just about how the media's good because Ray Rice is the bad guy. That's all I'm saying.
Yep, and you rock.
Oh, no, I don't. I'm just trying to do a good job here. But God bless you, and thanks for putting up with me. Let's talk to... is it Ronald or Roland? That's Ronald. I tell you, my eyes aren't as good as they used to be. I need to move, get a bigger screen or something. These phone calls are a little bit bored over there. Ronald in Texas, go ahead. You're on the air. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, two things. One is dealing with the concept that they say, well, we've got to fight terrorism. You can't ever win a war against terrorism because terrorism is a military concept. It's known as guerrilla warfare. We lost Vietnam because we were fighting conventional warfare against unconventional troops. And by saying, well, we're going to win this war, we will win it. Well, it's funny because we've been there in the Middle East since 1990s, and it's been longer than all the other major wars combined.
And now there's the biggest terrorist army in history, officially, ISIS, with billions of dollars, armed by our government, who doesn't want it to end. Absolutely.
And if you really wanted it to end, either you act like the terrorist, or B, do like the Operation Fast and Furious, but this time put tracers in the weapons you give them, so we find them and drop a smart bomb on them. Very simple.
Well, there's another way. There's another way. You tell Saudi Arabia and Qatar, don't do this anymore. We're going to put an oil embargo on you. And so what? You know, just we'll start using our own oil. The problem is our government's in bed with Saudi Arabia and is actually giving them their own Islamic State to launch attacks so Saudi Arabia can have plausible deniability and won't get the blame anymore. This is a holy land for Saudi Arabia to send its worst and to get rid of their problem as well and then let them attack everybody. That's what's going on here. Our government wound up and armed these jihadis. The British government lets ISIS go back and forth between the countries. That's in the news. Why, the head of MI6 says we've got to be nice to ISIS and let these boys, he called them, back in. Because they work for British intelligence. They work for Israel. And I don't mean the entire Israel or the entire Britain. I'm saying ISIS is working for NATO. ISIS is being aided by the entire constellation of NATO. Turkey, you name it. What do you think the end game is, Ronald?
Honestly, they're hoping for World War III simply because they figure, well, even if we lose, we win. When I was in the Special Forces and I was fighting you in hand-to-hand combat, even though you kill me, I still gave the death blow to you, I still won. And that's their mentality. Even if we lose, we still got the elite underground and protected.
Coming up, we're going to have a jam-packed third hour. A report on hidden microphones nationwide. Chicagoans respond to discovering the secret microphones. Our reporter, Buckley Hammond, is filing a report, but he'll also report from the remote location. Then we've also got a report by John Bowne on Ebola we're going to premiere here. The new iWatch and the new iPhone 6 are the cashless society, the thumbprint to buy and sell, partnering with the big 6 banks. And once they get rid of cash and even rid of credit cards, they're going to be able to charge you any fine or fee they want once you're totally digital. It's not that I'm against total digital money. It's that in the hands of the globalist, we know what they've already done when they have control. And we're watching their live stream right now. We're going to give you a report on that before this next hour ends. Finishing up, Ronald, talking about the globalist view that they don't care if they destroy everything as long as they destroy it. And I've read globalist statements about that it's actually in my film Endgame where they go, even if we destroy the Earth or solar system, as long as we do it, it's good, that we go on willing. We will be in control. Is that what you're saying?
Yes and no. They expect to win regardless. There is no, for them, they don't have a concept of mutually assured destruction or the mindset of a no-win situation. They figure they'll win regardless. They figure their bunkers are deep enough, they have enough ability to survive. And just like the Georgia Guidestone philosophy that they use, let's wipe out the population, make it manageable, we're the elite, and then any of the few survivors we can just mop up. It's that simple.
Basically, we're in the hands of absolute madmen.
Yes, but I would use a different terminology, but since this is a rated PG show, I'll keep that to myself. How's that?
I hear you. It makes me so angry. Crazy people that do bad things to children. Crazy people that just like to do bad things. I'm so sick of them. God bless you. Good to hear from you. John in California, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex. You know, we keep chasing our tails trying to fix government. The solution is not going to be found in fixing government. History shows us that free markets build civilization and governments destroy it.
That's right.
The only way, don't you agree? I think you agree.
Of course.
The only way to win the battle is through economic education. That's one of Ron Paul's messages. Lou Rockwell, people like that. I think we need to evolve to the realization that we don't need rulers any longer. Free markets can do everything that civilization needs. And I think that's one of the primary, I think that you, with your audience, should, a suggestion to you, maybe spend 5 minutes every day at the top of the hour giving some economic education to people. Fundamentals of economics.
Well, here's a fundamental. In North Carolina, more children homeschool than attend private schools. Daily Signal reports. That statistic may seem shocking if you've been a stranger to the growth of the homeschooling movement. And homeschooling is obviously not for everybody, but the fact that it's happening shows that people are walking with their feet, coming out of the federal globalist UN-run, that's what they are, UNESCO-controlled public schools, and it's going to force reform. Bill and Melinda Gates are coming out with a fake reform to corporatize and foundationize and federalize the private schools under standardization. So we've got to all realize there's no reason to have your kids go to school under the current paradigm to try to get a job, by hoping that they get a scholarship at these universities. For 90+% of people, it's going to be worthless or a detriment. The whole paradigm's coming down. You need to be educating your children how to be polite, how to be nice, how to be honorable, how to have basic skills, and how to do basic business, and how to understand trends. That's how they'll be successful. The whole existing order is being destroyed and purposely taken out, and everyone's being set up to be helpless under it. So there's your economic data. And I've been telling people that for 20 years since I've been on air. That's one good thing Rush Limbaugh's done, was explain to people that college, for most, is totally worthless unless you want a job in the government. And all that's going to come down as well. The facts are in. The studies are legion. Sodium fluoride and other toxic members of the fluoride family are devastating the health and cognitive ability of the American people. So why are the social engineers adding it to the water? Simple. Dumb down the host population that the parasitic technocracy is feeding on. We may not have been able to get fluoride out of the water supply yet, but we can help to get it out of our bodies. I am extremely excited to announce the exclusive InfoWars Life Fluoride Shield formulation, fusing 6 of the best documented ingredients from around the world to help the body remove not just toxic fluoride residues from the body, but a whole host of toxic substances. Let's take a stand against the globalists by blocking their poisons with Fluoride Shield. I use Fluoride Shield every day. Secure your Fluoride Shield and other pioneering formulations at InfoWarsLife.com today. Let's start cleansing our bodies now and support the Info War at the same time. That's InfoWarsLife.com. John in Ohio, you're on the air.
Hello, Alex. How you doing? I got right in front of me, Alex, a 1987 copy. Well, it was a dubbed copy of the 1987 miniseries America, about the Soviet communist takeover of America. And everything in this is straight up Barack Obama. There's a reason this has never been. It was a bootleg copy. There's a reason this has never been.
No, you're right. Chris Christopherson stars in it, and it's very hard to find. We ought to get a copy of that from listeners and do a review of it. You're right. If I remember that film, it's basically everything they did.
Yeah, and I'm in Ohio. Now, when I was in Texas, I got stopped by the Border Patrol for 30 minutes outside of El Paso, got put in a cage with my car. It's got Ohio plates on it, and they're trying to ascertain my citizenship. It took a half hour at about 11 o'clock at night for them to
no, they wanted to know if you were bringing drugs across that the government didn't get a cut of. That's why they put you in a cage, brother. They were scanning your car.
But it's weird. That was in 1997. Now, in Ohio, where I'm at, people in Ohio go to Canada all the time. I never have. My father went to Canada with his semi-truck. Back then, you could just drive across the bridge and go in. And it's very weird. The town that's directly across from Cleveland's Port Stanley, Ontario. We're talking 2,000 people. Mayberry, RFD. It would be so pathetically easy to get terrorists in there, the only thing they might notice them is a lot of the terrorists tend to be of Middle Eastern or Pakistani origin. They would stick out maybe ethnically, but it would be very easy for the terrorists to sneak in there at night and load a boat. Everybody knows Lake Erie's wide open, especially over at Sandusky, Ohio. I know you've probably heard of Cedar Point Amusement Park.
Yes.
Cedar Point Amusement Park, there's a bunch of islands up from that, and it hops up to Pele Island, which is on the Canada side. You could literally island hop from Canada right into the United States with bombs. Nobody'd ever catch you.
And the reason I illustrate this, and the reason we harp on it is, don't have a random checkpoint saying we're looking for terrorists or TSA garbage or spy on my phone to see if I'm a terrorist. All you're doing is training me to be a slave and dominating me and breaking my will while the government is openly funding ISIS and hoping they attack us. And that's why I've said there could be a real attack, because ISIS is over 100,000, probably 200,000. They've got all these weapons. They've got billions of dollars. The British news is letting them fly back and forth because they're working for the globalist, just like pre-9/11. I just hope nothing happens the next few days. And if it does, we're going to be here pointing out we were wide open.
It's so ridiculous. Hello?
It is ridiculous. No, I agree with you. And it makes me very angry that look at how they used 9/11 to transform our world. And now, did it get rid of Al-Qaeda? No, it's bigger than it's ever been.
Don't understand it because it angers me because this lake's sitting right up there and everybody knows it, and everybody knows that Canada's immigration laws are basically zero. And even in this country, from 1787 until 1924, our borders were pretty much wide open. We've always known there was a problem, but the Democrats have, since Thomas Jefferson, had this idea that the whole world could come to America. And even though we had an Immigration Act of 1790, we never enforced it. And so even today we've been drunk on this idea that America is the homeland, the land of opportunity.
Well, listen, if you don't give people welfare, you're only going to get people coming here that want to work generally. You have free goodies, though. That, since the 30s, is what has screwed up immigration. Because if you tell people, come here and you don't have to work, pretty soon you bring enough people in that are clients of the government that you got two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. Well, Apple, headed up with Al Gore, has rolled out its iPhone 6 and its new iWatch. The iWatch surveils what exercises you're doing, what your heart rate is, reports it all back with GPS location. But it's so trendy and fun. And quite frankly, we could use these to shoot live video inside places that we're basically investigating. It's got a lot of good applications, but it was built at slave factories in China. Apple gives all this money to try to take my rights away, to undermine the Second Amendment. But if I go over and use Microsoft products, they're just as bad. So the new iWatch is out. The new iPhone 6 is out. And, new iPhone 6, you purchase things with a thumbprint. And all these hundreds of big companies are online to do it. What happens when they start doing banker bail-ins and fines and fees on your digital currency? Because once everything's digital and they can force you through their systems, they can then track, surveil, and tax everything you do. And the power to tax is the power to destroy. Now remember, the technology is really 30 years advanced of what we're being given. So this has all been socially engineered, and Apple is the very cutting edge of beta testing, rolling this out to change our world. Has a lot of interesting applications. Can have a lot of fun with it. Just like buying a new Chevrolet Camaro's fun, but it's got satellite tracker box in it, getting ready to tax you by the mile, and they made the announcement 2 weeks ago. All the cars have it. Your cell phone tracks you in real time illegally. All the new appliances track you in real time illegally. The smart meter outside your house that you paid for tracks you, controls your temperature. They're literally putting robots in, a Skynet, and making them ubiquitous in our world to control and track everything we do. And so we're here reviewing this new system. Talk about science fiction, this is it. And it just gets more and more amazing. People standing in line for 2 weeks to get their iPhone 6. People standing in line for 2 weeks to get the iWatch. And, of course, they come out with a limited amount to create that Christmas toy effect where the toy that sells out, everybody's got to have. And, of course, it'll be laden with bugs. And, of course, I want one. See, that's what's so evil about it, is that it's so hard to not get sucked in by it. Because I can shoot live videos. I can take amazing photos. It makes it so much easier than having a phone in my pocket. On and on and on. But it's an evil social engineering company whose symbol is the apple being bitten. Who gave Eve the apple? El Diablo. Pretty amazing. And they're coming out with a smaller iPhone, a little mini iPhone, I guess, a middle-sized one. And then bigger ones. And then they've got, I guess the iPhone 6 is getting bigger now. I guess to try to challenge the droids and the rest of it. I don't know. It's just all out of control. Speaking of out of control, ladies and gentlemen, I want to go to this special report filed by John Bound today on the latest with the Ebola situation. Here is that report.
The World Health Organization, the very same organization that wants to impose a global consumer tax on everything from internet use to your bank account to raise money for its drug research in the developing world, is reporting total Ebola-fueled chaos in West Africa. Scientists have discovered that this new unique strain of Ebola may have originated during a funeral for a traditional healer in Sierra Leone, where two strains of Ebola may have coincided. Further research has traced the disease down to a 2-year-old boy that contracted the virus from a wild animal. The pandemic is ravaging Liberia the hardest, where entire families are packing themselves into taxis in a futile attempt to find Ebola care. The Ebola-laden taxis will only add fuel to the fire as they are not disinfected, and beds are in short supply to treat this contagion. Nearly 40% of new cases have occurred in the past 3 weeks. According to the World Health Organization, 3,600 have been infected with Ebola, 2,000 have died, and upwards of 20,000 will become victims of the outbreak before it's all over. But those numbers have been disputed by locals in West Africa for months. Last month, Dr. Gottlieb, former Director of Medical Policy Development for the Food and Drug Administration, asserted that Ebola is likely to arrive in the U.S., and that if it does, the CDC will invoke powers to hold a healthy person against their will. Dr. Gottlieb also points at an executive order passed by Obama on July 31st, which allows for the detention of Americans who merely display signs of any respiratory illness. We are already seeing a widespread respiratory mystery illness among children in the United States. It's only a matter of time. John Bound for Infowars.com.
That's right, and they say it's going to arrive here. They've flown 4 people into Atlanta, and they don't even have them in a proper bioweapons laboratory system. They have them in a university medical system. And now AP reports Ebola is surging in places it had been beaten back. Here's another headline, NBC News. 4th Ebola patient lands in Atlanta. Ebola virus spread by taxi passengers, says World Health Organization. Area of animal to human Ebola risk bigger than thought, AFP. U.S. Britain to send troops to help fight Ebola in West Africa. Here's the deal. It takes weeks now to show up, not days. So it has a lot longer to gestate, to get in your body, and then you're a vector for weeks while you go around spreading it. They're estimating at the UN 100,000 people will have it by December. And a lot of evidence shows it's worse than we're being told. And we know Ebola, you can pull up the news articles, we've done reports on it, has been messed with in labs. They think it's been souped up in Western labs. I don't know. Our government's been caught doing thousands of secret medical studies on people, and their favorite group is black people to target. Don't worry, they target everybody, but they really seem to get away with it with blacks the most that we know about. And it's not just Tuskegee and syphilis. It's feeding black kids pesticide, chaining them down till they die. The jail guards get sad and blow the whistle and they get in trouble. That's in New York State. Oh, but Cuomo and wants your guns. So it must be all right because he's a liberal. I don't know. It's just really scary. I know that my great uncle, and he was older, and so when he died of a respiratory deal, we're like, oh, okay, well. And then across the street, my cousin dies of a respiratory illness, just at home, wakes up one morning, he's dead. And then my uncle takes care of him, and, well, he's sick for a few days and finds him dead in the morning, and then he fights it for a month and dies, totally great shape. Dead. And the doctors are like, it's some kind of mystery illness, viral or bacterial. It's a mix. It's killing people. We're turning people back. It's incredible, but it's not on the news. And then now they're saying mystery illness, you know, thousands of kids per hospital, hundreds at this one, 500 at that one. We don't know. It's all the antibiotics. It's all the GMO. It's all the secret testing. It's just who knows what's going on. When you've got it in the U.S. Code in Title 50, Chapter 32, U.S. Code Title 50, Chapter 32, subsection 1528, paragraph B, that chemical, biological, radiological testing is illegal unless it's for law enforcement or research purposes. And then even lethal testing is A-OK. That's the kind of stuff they've had on the books for a long time. The average person reads it and isn't a lawyer, and they go, no, that bans it. Until it says to go to this subsection, unless it's for research purposes or law enforcement purposes. Really, they let our troops use DU. They wouldn't let the troops use that until 1990. They had it in the 50s. Because they knew it was a death penalty to whoever used it. It would destroy their kidneys and destroy their lungs. But they let them use it. They knew. They knew the whole time. Why doesn't the elite care that reactors are leaking all over? Why don't they care that GMO and all the big studies sterilizes the guinea pigs within 3 generations? I mean, I sell books that are like textbooks showing it, documented mainline studies. Or we've had the scientist on. It's on record. What's going on? I mean, is it like evil space aliens run the government or something and just want to do no? Whatever it is, and I'm not saying it's really space aliens, for the New York Times comes out and says that. What I'm saying is it might as well be Joseph Mengele. Well, why did Joseph Mengele do experiments on thousands of kids, torturing them in horrible ways? And it was admitted in Nuremberg he would take 4 or 5 kids out a few times a week just to the forest and give them chocolate bars. He'd ride them out with the SS in the back of a big Mercedes. He'd get them out, give them chocolate bars. And he'd watch them eat the chocolate bars, and then he'd pull a Luger out and shoot them all in the head. It's like Lenin would go to an island, this was documented, populate a little island in the middle of a pond with thousands of white rabbits, and he would just run around biting them and killing them and stabbing them just all day, just mentally ill, crazy people. And they want power, and they get into power, and it's over. So whether this is manufactured or not, why they've never brought Ebola patients here before. That's the thing. They just don't care. They publicly fund Al-Qaeda. They publicly bring Ebola. They publicly ship guns to Mexico to blame the Second Amendment. They publicly open the border wide open. They publicly put veterans on death list. They publicly are just absolutely out of their minds. I mean, Apple has the worst factories in China on record with forced abortion, forced drugging, 18-hour work days, and suicide nets. But it's okay because they wear purple shirts and lisp and walk around effeminately going, incredible. I mean, I think you could strangle babies in front of a whole sports stadium of people if you were wearing a pink shirt and went, liberal. Alex Jones here to break down some exciting developments in the area of research concerning supplemental iodine. It's nothing less than phenomenal. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. And I used some of the mainline iodine supplements and they upset my stomach and I had some issues with it. Until I discovered a product being developed by Dr. Group, who I was already interviewing as an expert on my radio show, and I began taking the product before he actually rolled it out. You now know it as Survival Shield True Nascent Iodine that your body can really absorb. Then, about a year ago, he said, listen, if you think this is powerful, I'm going to come out with rare earth, deep earth, crystals that are incredibly powerful that no one else has as a source for their iodine from between 7,000 and 12,000 feet, literally drilled out of the ground. You put it on a hot plate and it turns into the pure gas. No one else has 99.99% pure iodine. And the results that I personally have had have been life-changing. I was over 270 pounds. And with the iodine, exercise, and better diet, I have lost now more than 50 pounds total, and I'm continuing to lose the weight. I have more energy, my libido, all this crap came out of my skin. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. This is innovating. This is trailblazing. And the best part is it helps fund Infowars.com, the radio show, the TV show, the whole media operation promoting true libertarian ideas. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox special at InfoWarsLife.com.